ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਰੈਡੀ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੁੱਕ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਲਈ। ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਾ ਕੁਝ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਰੀਡ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਸੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਡਿਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੁੱਕ ਪੜ੍ਹਨੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ। This can present a problem since there are many lobsters. What if two of them occupy the same territory at the bottom of the ocean at the same time and both want to live there? What if there are hundreds of lobsters all trying to make a living and raise a family in the same crowded patch of sand and refuse? Other creatures have this problem too. When songbirds come north in the spring, for example, they encourage in ferocious territorial disputes. The songs they sing so peaceful and beautiful to human ears are siren calls and cries of domination. And brilliantly musical bird is a small warrior proclaiming his sovereignty. Take a wren, for example, a small feisty insect-eating songbird common in North America. A newly arrived wren wants a sheltered place to build a nest away from the wind and rain. He wants it close to food and attractive to potential mates. He also wants to convince competitors for that space to keep their distance, birds and territory. My dad and I designed a house for a wren family when I was 10 years old. It looked like a Conestoga wagon and had a front entrance about the size of a quarter. This made it a good house for wrens who are tiny and not so good for other larger birds who couldn't get in. My elderly neighbor had a bird house too, which we built for her at the same time. From an old rubber boot, he had an opening large enough for a bird the size of a robin. She was looking forward to the day it was occupied. A wren soon discovered our birdhouse and made himself at home there. We could hear his lengthy, trilling song repeated over and over during the early spring. Once he had built his nest in the covered wagon. However, our new avian tenant started carrying small sticks to our neighbor's nearby boot. He packed it so full that no other bird, large or small, could possibly get in. Our neighbor was not pleased by this preemptive strike. What is preemptive? But there was nothing to be done about. If we take it down, said my dad, clean it up and put it back in the tree, the wren will just pack it full of sticks again. Wrens are small and they are cute, but they are merciless. I had broken my leg skiing the previous winter, first time down the hill, and I had received some money from a school insurance policy designed to reward unfortunate clumsy children. I purchased a cassette recorder, a high-tech novelty at that time. With the proceeds, my dad suggested that I sit on the back lawn, record the wren's song, play it back and watch what happened. So I went out into the bright spring sunlight and taped a few minutes of the wren laying furious. Word is furious. Claim to his territory with song. Then I let him hear his own voice. That little bird, once 1/3 the size of a sparrow, began to dive bomb me and my cassette recorder, swooping back and forth. Word is swooping. Inches from the speaker. We saw a lot of that sort of behavior even in the absence of the tape recorder. If a larger bird ever dared to sit and rest in any of the trees near our birdhouse, there was a good chance he would get knocked off his perch, what is perch, by a kamikaze wren. The word is kamikaze. Now, wrens and lobsters are very different. Lobsters do not fly, sing, or perch in trees. Wrens have feathers, not hard shells. Wrens can't breathe underwater and are seldom served with butter. However, they are also similar in important ways. Both are obsessed with status and position, for example, like a great many creatures. The Norwegian zoologist and comparative psychologist Thorleif Skjelderup Abbe observed that even common barnyard chickens establish a pecking order. What is pecking? The determination of who's who in the chicken world has important implications for each individual bird's survival, particularly in times of scarcity. The birds that always have priority access to whatever food is sprinkled out in the yard in the morning are the celebrity chickens. After them come the second stringers. Word is stringers. The hangers on and vanables. Word is vanables. Then the third rate chickens have their turn, and so on down to the bedraggled. Word is bedraggled. Partially feathered and badly pecked wretches. Word is wretches. Who occupy the lowest untouchable stratum. Word is stratum of the chicken hierarchy. Chickens, like suburbanites, live communally. Songbirds such as wrens do not, but they still inhabit a dominance hierarchy. It's just spread out over more territory. The williest, word is williest. The williest, strongest, healthiest, and most fortunate birds occupy prime territory and defend it. Because of this, they are more likely to attract high quality mates and to hatch chicks who survive and thrive. Protection from wind, rain, and predators, as well as easy access to superior food, makes for a much less stressed existence. Territory matters, and there is little difference between territorial rights and social status. It is often a matter of life and death. If a contagious avian, what is contagious, and the second is avian, we have written that before also. Disease sweeps through a neighborhood of well-stratified songbirds. It is the least dominant and most stressed birds occupying the lowest rungs. What is rungs of the bird world, who are most likely to sicken and die. This is equally true of human neighborhoods. When bird flu viruses and other illnesses sweep across the planet, the poor and stressed always die first and in greater numbers. They are also much more susceptible, word is susceptible, to non-infectious diseases such as cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. When the aristocracy, word is aristocracy, catches a cold, as it is said, the working class dies of pneumonia. Because territory matters and because the best locales are always in short supply, territory seeking among animal produces conflict. Conflict in turn produces another problem. How do we not lose without the disagreeing parties incurring too great a cost? This later point is particularly important. Imagine that two birds engage in a squabble about a desirable nesting area. The interaction can easily degenerate into outright physical combat. Under such circumstances, one bird, usually the largest, will eventually win. But even the victor may be hurt by the fight. That means a third bird, an undamaged, canny bystander, can move in opportunistically and defeat the now crippled victor. That is not at all a good deal for the first two birds. Conflict and territory. Over the millennia, animals who must cohabit with others in the same territories have in consequence learned many tricks to establish dominance while risking the least amount of possible danger, while risking the least amount of possible damage. A defeated wolf, for example, will roll over on its back, exposing its throat to the victor, who will not then deign, what is deign, to tear it out. The now dominant wolf may still require a future hunting partner after all, even one as pathetic as his now defeated foe. Bearded dragons, remarkable social lizards, wave their front legs peaceably at one another to indicate their wish to continue social harmony. Dolphins produce specialized sound pulses while hunting and during other times of high excitement to reduce potential conflict among dominant and subordinate group members. Such behavior is endemic in the community of living things. Lobsters scuttling, what is scuttling, around on the ocean floor are no exception. If you catch a few dozen and transport them to a new location, you can observe their status-forming rituals and techniques. Each lobster will first begin to explore the new territory, partly to map its dales and partly to find a good place for shelter. Lobsters can learn a lot about where they live and they remember what they learn. If you startle, what is startle, one near its nest, it will quickly zip back and hide there. If you startle it some distance away, however, it will immediately dart towards the nearest suitable shelter, previously identified and now remembered. A lobster needs a safe hiding place to nest, free from predators and forces of nature. Furthermore, as lobsters grow, they molt, what is molt, or shed their shells, which leaves them soft and vulnerable for extended periods of time. A burrow under a rock makes a good lobster home, particularly if it is located where shells and other detritus, what is detritus, can be dragged into place to cover the entrance. Once lobster is snugly, what is snugly, ensconced, what is ensconced, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but we will find it. Ensconced inside. However, there may be only a small number of high quality shelters or hiding places in each new territory. They are scarce and valuable. Other lobsters continually seeking them out. This means that lobsters often encounter one another when out exploring. Researchers have demonstrated that even a lobster raised in isolation knows what to do when such a thing happens. It has complex defensive and aggressive behaviors built right into its nervous system. It begins to dance around like a boxer, opening and raising its claws, moving backward, forward, and side to side, mirroring its opponent, waving its opened claw back and forth. At the same time, it employs special jets under its eye to direct stream of liquid at its opponent. The liquid spray contains a mix of chemicals that tell the other lobsters about its size, sex, health, and mood. Sometimes one lobster can tell immediately from the display of claw size that it is much smaller than its opponent and will back down without a fight. The chemical information exchange in the spray can have same effect, convincing a less healthy or less aggressive lobster to retreat. That's dispute resolution level 1. If the two lobsters are very close in size and apparent ability, however, or if the exchange of liquid has been insufficiently informative, they will produce to dispute resolution level 2. With antennae whipping madly and claws folded downward, one will advance and the other retreat. Then the defender will advance and the aggressor retreat. So ਇੱਥੇ ਆਪਣੇ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਜੀ। ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰ ਲਵਾਂ ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਮੈਂ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਵੇਂ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਤੋਂ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ। Then the defender will advance and the aggressor retreat. After a couple of rounds of this behavior, the more nervous of the lobsters may feel that continuing is not in his best interest. He will flick his tail reflexively. Word is reflexively. Dart backwards and vanish to try his luck elsewhere. If neither blinks, however, the lobsters move to level 3, which involves genuine combat. So ਇੱਥੇ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ ਜੀ ਆਪਣਾ bookmark ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਟਾਪ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਰੀਡ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਸੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਕੱਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਜੀ, ਟੇਕ ਕੇਅਰ।